So there's currently a ludicrous suggestion that blood was found in a hire car that they hired 25 days after Madeleine was taken. And that's been put to Kate, and it's been suggested that she is in some way connected with the death of her daughter, which is clearly ridiculous.
The investigation's change of direction prompted McCann's return to the UK. The family that had always refused to abandon Portugal without clarifying their daughter's disappearance decides to return home. The images of McCann family's return go around the world. When he sees this image of Gerald McCann carrying one of the twins, Irishman Martin Smith says he recognizes in the stance and the manner of holding the child the man whom he crossed on the night that Madeleine disappeared. He goes to the local police and gives a statement. It was exactly the same manner and appearance of the man that he saw on the night that Maddie disappeared. The McCann family's representative, a former spokesman for English Prime Minister Gordon Brown, pushes all suspicions aside.
During that time, I saw or heard nothing that gave me cause for concern or any suspicion. All I witnessed was a loving family that had been plunged into a dreadful situation and two parents trying to cope amidst their loss. To suggest that they somehow harmed Madeleine, accidentally or otherwise, is as ludicrous as it is nonsensical. Indeed, it would be laughable if it wasn't so serious.
Kate McCann's diary, which was accessed by the investigation, is clear about the importance of such political support. Gordon Brown phones the couple several times, as the diary shows on the 23rd of May. The McCann case has always worried both countries' political authorities, even leading Prime Minister Gordon Brown to speak about it with his counterpart José Sócrates during the Lisbon summit. The British press repeatedly attacked the Portuguese investigation. Following a reply from Gonçalo Amaral to a former British detective, and in an interview to Diário de Notícias, the Polícia Judiciária's national director dismissed the investigation's coordinator with the Justice Minister's support. I'm not going to comment on that matter, but you confirm that he was replaced in the case? Yes, substituted as the leader. Why? I can't comment on that now. Was it because of the statements that were published today? It's an act that belongs to the national director of the Polícia Judiciária that I approve. Did you influence this dismissal? I don't want to say anything further about this matter. Gonçalo Amaral is sent back to the headquarters in Faro and forced to abandon the McCann case investigation. Before I left, someone came to me, I'm not saying who, with a speech about investigations that don't end in the way that we desire, that do not succeed, and that if this investigation was archived, or if the investigation was dropped, nobody would question it much or raise any problems about it. Paulo Rebelo is nominated to direct the investigation. He hurries to visit Aldeia da Luz and to observe the locations where Madeleine McCann disappeared from, showing his intention to carry out the process until its end. A set of rogatory letters are sent to the UK for the interrogation of the witnesses in the process. There is an attempt to schedule a reconstruction. Some witnesses are never questioned again in Portugal, like the Smith family, who said they saw Gerald McCann carrying a child in his arms towards the sea at around 10 p.m. on the 3rd of May 2007. The witness who lived near the McCann's second home in Aldeia da Luz, who says she witnessed an uncommon fact about McCann's hire car, where the dogs detected cadaver odor and remains that may belong to Maddie, was not heard either. This neighbor has signed a document authorizing the broadcast of her deposition that identifies her, but fearing threats and pressures, she doesn't show her face. This is an interesting matter. When I left the Criminal Investigation Department in Portimão in October 2007, nothing was known about this vehicle, about this issue of the open car boot. We knew that inside the vehicle cadaver odor and bodily fluids had been found, where Madeleine McCann's DNA profile was extracted from, with 15 alleles. Months later, there is a jurist who lives nearby who came to report that after the McCanns arrived at this villa, they saw the car boot open from then on. I drive down these streets every day to turn my car around at that end, and every time that I passed the house and I looked at the car, and the car always had an open boot door day or night. I often passed that night and always verified it. It was a fact, I reported it, and that was it. The great question is how the family heard about the witness, despite the fact that she was not heard by the PJ, and tried to reply to the observed facts. Only a few months later the investigation is closed. Gonçalo Amaral resigns from the police, writes a book about the case, and accepts to return to 5A at the Ocean Club to demonstrate his conviction that Madeleine McCann died inside this apartment on the 3rd of May 2007. The family spokesman accuses him of being an opportunist who is merely interested in making money.
Is publishing a book to make money, and all of this publicity surrounding it is being watched. Every word he says is being studied very closely by lawyers for Kate and Jerry. He is doing this to make money out of Madeleine's situation, and if he has clues in the book, he should have acted on those when he was an officer involved in the case to find Madeleine.
Contrary to what Mr. Clarence Mitchell says, I used my knowledge in the investigation and thus can state with all certainty that Madeleine was not abducted. Just verify the location of the facts like we are going to right away. With the help from one of the major experts from the scientific police who worked for Polícia Judiciária, Alexandre Simas, Gonçalo Amaral intends to prove first that it was impossible for the child to be abducted, starting by demonstrating that the indications prove that the apartment's window and door were not forced. How does one open a door like this without the key? This type of apartment door, normally there are only three possibilities: to extract the lock's cannon, which didn't happen or it would have been reported, a false key, a copy or one that was used without permission, or using a malleable material. As long as it's not locked, it's introduced and it makes the lock go back inside. But when it goes in, even if it did, it would hit this screw. If it hits the screw, no matter how much I force it, it doesn't jump to open the lock for me. If the door wasn't opened without a key, the window doesn't bear any traces of having been forced either. These windows have a very good characteristic to check if they were forced or not. Being made of lacquered aluminium, any screwdriver, any instrument that is used to make the lock jump immediately leaves a mark. What we can see here, there is no break-in. The mark that is there belongs to the lock itself as it rotates. Sometimes one does it with the lock in place and it hits there. So, to open this window, all we have to do is this. To close it, it's impossible because either one has a magnet on his fingers to pull the window. Another important fact is revealed by the fingerprints that are left on the bedroom window, which the McCanns insist they left closed and is supposedly found open when the mother notices her daughter is missing. The only fingerprints that are found belong to Kate McCann and reveal that they were made by opening the window. These three indications mean that there was no abduction, and that is proved. No abductor entered apartment 5A through the door or through the window.